Hello, everyone. I welcome you to another episode of Grief Talk, where I have with me a very special guest, Kane Novak, with me. How are you today, Kane?
I'm amazing. I'm
Lovely.
glad to be
So,
here.
so let's begin with an introduction. Can you tell us a little about yourself?
Yes, I can.
Perfect.
My gosh, have I got some titles?
Okay.
Here's the really interesting part. So I'm gonna share this because this is part of my journey, right? So I've been going through my own awakening, spiritual awakening and everything like that, and getting really connected. And I did a breathwork session, like a 9-day breathwork session today. And the message that was coming in was, yes, I've coached people and everything like that, but I'm more of a guide, right? And I go deep into the shadows of people's stories. Right? I go deep into the shadows, and in a very safe way. And one of the aspects that came through in this breath work was soul awakened leaders. And I was like,
Oh,
wow, why is that coming
wow.
in? Isn't that an interesting term? And it didn't just come in once, it came in multiple times. And it's quite interesting because I've been almost having this death of the ego, death of an identity. And to give you a quick background, just so you can understand, like I worked in the film industry from a very young age for over 3 decades. I've worked with people like Margot Robbie and the late great Bill Hunter. I've won awards and things like that. That's my past. So understanding people's journeys and people's stories has been an instrumental key in the way that I guide people because you're very much about grief,
Yeah.
and grief is a very fundamental aspect to shadows, right? It's all about healing and allowing that peace to come in is fundamental for everyone in all dynamics.
Yes.
And being in that spiritual essence, because you can do that in any form
Yeah.
of life, right? You can be connected to yourself, and whether or not you believe in God, or whether or not you believe in spirit or universe, whatever it may be, whatever religion, it doesn't matter. It's completely irrelevant, because all roads lead to the same place.
Yeah, they do.
Basically, it's all about love,
Yeah.
love and peace and acceptance. And that's the biggest key to all of it, to to the whole spiritual world, is living in a higher vibration of joy and peace. And it's funny, like peace is higher vibration, yet you're doing less, right? Like joy is just below peace. So when you think of joy, joy's kind of, oh my God, yeah, I'm really excited. And then peace is like, I'm so calm,
It is. Yeah,
but it's a higher vibration.
definitely. Definitely.
So that's pretty much what I do. I help people get unstuck by unlocking the patterns in their subconscious that holds them back and healing their stories.
Okay. So, can you have lived through a lot of experiences like any one of us? So, would you be willing to share parts of your story and how they shaped who you are today? Let's begin from there.
It's a big one. There are so many dynamics, and you know, I'll start with this one because probably one of the most well, there's two, right? And
Mhm.
these are probably the biggest across the board
Mhm.
of the general population, which is bullying and sexual assault,
Okay.
right? Not so much for a man. There are, that's more the minority, but for obviously women, they have to deal with a lot in their lives, and in the conflict of that sexual aspect, right? And it can hold a lot of people back in their relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah, the way that they're vulnerable, the way that they allow themselves to surrender. So that trauma of sexual trauma is a really important aspect to heal and bear witness to, and it is all about forgiveness. So right up until the age of like 15, I was pretty much bullied a lot. I was very much in my shell. I hid away from the world. My sister was probably one of the biggest parts of that. She was about 4.5 years older than me. She didn't like that I came into the world. And I was, so my mum, after she had my sister, they told her she'll never have another child again. She had a dry birth and she had 6 miscarriages trying to have
Wow.
another kid, which is traumatic in itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And so I was the seventh one that held on. Right. So there must be a reason why I'm here. But my sister didn't like it, and she pretty much made sure that I knew, and bullied me a lot, whether it was psychologically, emotionally, or physically. And yeah, I was a really quiet kid. I hid away from everyone. I was like the black sheep that just didn't want to show. And that was the same at school. So I'd get because because I was getting bullied at school at home, I'd be bullied at school because that's the vibration that I'm putting out. I'm going to get bullied. Um, and I got sexually assaulted twice. So once at 11 and once at 12. And that was a really fundamental aspect of me being a man. No one knew about it. Like I didn't tell anyone, not a soul. Not a soul knew about it. And I didn't actually share that. I shared it once when I was going through some acting training with an institute, and they wanted me to bring out some sort of heavy emotions. It was a method acting institute, which means you dive deep into your emo and everything's about realism. So you reflect on your own experiences and you bring that forth. So it was a pretty heavy scene, and yeah, they were like, my instructor was like, "So, what's the most intense thing you've been?" I shared, I got sexually assaulted, and they were like, "Oh my God, okay, that's pretty intense. You're going to be okay to do this?" But they held a space. Like, I mean, acting is all about safety. It's also about expression. But after that experience, I shut it away, closed the door on it until about 5 years ago. Yeah, and 5 years ago, I realized I was actually listening to Les Brown, and I'd listened to him so many times.
Hmm.
And I've heard this statement so many times, resentment is like drinking poison and hoping the other person dies. And I'd been on the coaching journey for already 2 years. I'd been through a really big divorce, 7.5, almost 8 years ago now, which was very high conflict divorce, very public. There was another man who was a friend, and our kids, all similar ages, were all at the same school.
Hmm.
So initially, it started as a very private thing, and then 3 months later, it came out that there was an affair, and then all of a sudden, it was a huge catastrophe. And I basically had to heal twice or grieve twice for two totally different reasons. Um, But that experience, once I recognized, so I walked to the fridge with this statement, yeah, 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 resentment's like drinking poison, and so true, Les, yep. And I opened the fridge, and then I just went, oh my God, I've never forgiven the person that actually sexually assaulted me. And I haven't forgiven myself. And I fell into the fridge and I sobbed and I cried. And I went, all right, I got to let this shit go. So I started talking about it and I jumped in Facebook groups, dealing with sexual assault. And I shared my story and there's one thing that I've learned in the whole grieving process because I've had to grieve a lot in my life. Um, and this is something that for your listeners that's really, really important. I never liked the word grief, and there's a reason for that because when I was going through my divorce, it was very noticeable that people didn't want to like speak to me. They didn't want to be around me, and it's like I had a contagious disease, and all I wanted to do was just talk to someone. So what I recognized in all of that is, especially through my many years of being in entertainment and the power in expression. It's one of the pillars of life, expression, and because it's in every fabric of our life. Is that to release grief, you have to also release it through vocally, through your
Right.
throat, and release it out. And when we cry, when we sob, we're actually allowing that energy, that those emotions to come through us, to come out of us, right? To process. So here's two really key factors about grief. One, I had to give it another meaning, right?
True.
From my journey that I understood about what the journey that I had to take place during grieving.
Hmm.
And even though it was a really high conflict divorce and very public, I did so much work on myself using epigenetics and neuroscience and quantum physics
Hmm.
to shift my beliefs about what the experience actually meant to me, right? So shifting that perspective of what the event actually means to me emotionally,
Hmm. Of
right? And it takes time because it takes,
course.
on average, 60
Yeah.
days to create a new neural pathway. So in 9 months, I came to peace and co-parenting came to peace and
Hmm.
we had open communication. And the reason why I know it was at that point was because every time she spoke to me, I was triggered, right? And I had to work through that. I had to bring, there's three things essential to this. One, how would love respond? So every time I was triggered, I had to ask myself, how would love respond, right? To calm my central nervous system down, yeah, to shift the energy. The next thing is that grief, the journey of grief, it's not about waiting, it's about working. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to work through it. You have to earn the peace.
Yeah.
So grief stands for, as an acronym, graciously reclaiming inner self earns freedom. Because we only come to peace and freedom by being at peace with certain situations that have happened in our life.
Okay, so I have to ask Kane, you talk about
Yes.
reclaiming. So what is the biggest thing that has helped you reclaim your voice and power after all these experiences that you just shared with us?
Sorry, just ask that again.
What's
I kind
Yeah,
of.
yeah. I said, what is the biggest thing that helped you reclaim your voice and power after all these experiences?
Okay, great question. Basically, as I mentioned, it's shifting the perspective of what the
Right.
event means to you.
Yeah.
And there's this is all neuroscience, right? So this is tried, tested, and proven. And I've tried, tested, and proven it myself. And there was another step to it as well that that I discovered in that journey as well. So the aspect to it is that, you see, and you can use this for limiting beliefs or you're recurring in a dialogue, whatever is the negative process is what's coming up for you. And you see the event and then you look at the perspective, and because there's always lessons in the shadows, right? The shadows are there to give us lessons of some sort,
Mm.
to teach us something, to give us something, to whatever it may be. I mean, and whether it's divorce, whether it's death, whether it's assault, whether it's bullying, whatever it may be, there is a journey that you're going on, and you have to be at peace and understand that there's a reason for that particular journey. It's not just about the event.
Yeah.
So the work I do highlights how everything is actually interconnected, subconsciously and consciously, right? Right from when you're a kid all the way to where you are now,
Mm.
everything is interconnected through these particular loops, right? And until you see the patterns, it can be like going through a giant maze. So it's about repetition of shifting the perspective, the belief, the thought, and the way that you speak about it.
Mhm.
Right. And it is repetition. It's about going over it again and again and again until it's memorized until you've absorbed it into your cells about what that experience actually means in the way that you think about it, means in the way that you feel about it, and means in the way that you speak about it. Because speaking is a vibration. There is an aspect to thinking and having a vibration. And then there's an aspect to feeling
Mhm.
and that having a vibration. And then there is the vibration of actually speaking, and speaking something when it's connected to an emotion creates such a massive ripple effect in energy, in what goes out into the universe and what it is that you get back. Right. So it's like a boomerang. So you have to be so aware about how you speak about your past experiences and how you view them. Because if you're viewing them from a negative standpoint, then you're actually attracting similar circumstances. So people attract similar people in their relationships. They'll attract similar friends. And they're like, why are these people still the same? Right? Because there's an aspect that you haven't released and surrendered and healed inside you, associated to that experience of whatever it may be. Okay, so the other level, which is this is all about. So when you're really clear about thoughts, feelings, and speech and what it is, because this
Mhm.
is about seeing a future version of yourself, and this is the element that I added
Mhm.
to the neuroscience, right? You see that future version of yourself and you get really clear and intent about their thoughts, their feelings, and their speech about that experience, right? And you can put it into any circumstance, any type of situation in your life. You can look at it from a financial point of view. You can look at it from a spiritual point of view, from a relationship point of view. You're like, I've just started a relationship. This is the kind of person I want to be, that I want to move in towards in this relationship. And when you're really clear about the thoughts and the feelings and the speech that you want to demonstrate, when you fall off of that, you're very clear, you notice it. You go, that's not where I want to be. That's not who I want to be on this journey. I want to be, I want to become this person from this relationship
Mhm.
or from this career, from this business. I want to become that person, because I know I need to do the work. So I have to do the action steps associated to that person and embody it now. And the reflection of that is being really clear about how you leave people, the intent. So when people are interacting with me, I make them think this about me. When when I leave people, they feel this about me. And when I leave people, they say this about me. So it makes you more responsible about your actions and the way that you show up to not just for yourself, but for the people around you, for your community, for your family, for your friends, for your lover.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing this in so much detail, Kane. And
It's okay.
yeah, it makes me wonder, were there parts of your past trauma that surfaced again during the process of the healing or reclaiming everything that happened or talking about it? Were there parts that came up that surfaced again?
Yes. So, well, just like the sexual assault came up at 45, and I had to work on that, right?
Mhm,
And every time I spoke about it, I I got emotional, right? Because my body. So you can make a decision in your mind. This
mhm,
is what something that people need to be aware of as well. You can make a decision in your mind that I'm going to forgive this. I'm going to do the work and forgive this person. I'm going to send them love. I'm going to appreciate what took place for my experience. But then, especially if it's been a very long time, many, many, many years that you're actually dealing with this, it's that energy, that emotion, that experience is trapped in the body, right? And the body has to process it. So you can make decisions in your mind, but you have to be graceful with your own body to allow that to come out, to process, to free itself from that experience. And and I'll give you another moment. I was in a relationship over the last few years, and it was very much a twin soul relationship. If you,
mhm,
it has the elements of that. Like our life circumstances were almost like a mirror image, all the way from being kids. Like seriously, like
mhm.
it, unbelievable. Like you couldn't write a book or a movie better than this. Like it's just like what?
Okay.
This the circumstance was almost like everything happening at the same age, right? It was just extraordinary. But there was a lot of healing that I needed to do during that relationship, and as the aspect of twin flame, if you believe in it, and some people say it's not real, but even any, if you just go, it's a relationship. Any relationship is going to bring up a trigger in you, right? They are actually going to trigger you on an element. And the reason why they're triggering you is because there's something that's unresolved in you. So we only react because of something that's unresolved. Yeah. So um, what came up for me was I had done a lot of work, and there was a period there where I felt like I fell back into unresolved moments. It was really, really interesting and made me even more aware of it and question it, and obviously just look at it deeper and go, okay, so I've done a lot of work around that. And this, because we had a breakup, and through that breakup is when I felt that, right? And it's what I call the recurring inner dialogue. So there's there's a dialogue that everyone, and this is why so many people can get stuck, because there's a recurring inner dialogue which is made up of words and feelings about events that took place when we were young,
Mhm,
and we take them on board, and they're in our subconscious, but because they've been there for so long, it's like they're always there. They're the ones that will actually come out. They're the shadows.
mhm,
But through my work, what I've discovered with working with so many people is that that recurring inner dialogue isn't the individuals. It's not even the inner child's.
Hmm.
It's actually it's a projection
Hmm.
from their environment, right? It's what those people felt about themselves that were projecting onto that child. And then because children absorb energy, right? They absorb emotions. They don't hear your words so much. They feel your energy. So they're absorbing other people's problems and thinking that it's theirs, right? So there'll be all these experiences, stories that they've got in their memories about what they think about themselves and how they didn't get the love and all of this stuff. But when you go deep into it and you extract it, it's actually specifically from the environment and how these people feel about themselves. And they've projected that onto the child, and the child has then absorbed it. And these things, like when you're feeling weak or when you've lost your job, or these are the same things that will come up. They'll resurface, even if you do the healing on it. But when you recognize precisely where it's come from, what the words are, what the feelings are, because they're not true. They're not true to that individual at all. When you notice it, you are able to empower it because you know the deep what you need to do to rise above it. Right? You go, yeah, I get it. That's not true about me. I inherited something that wasn't mine.
Hmm.
So, if you will, it's kind of classified as ancestral trauma.
So, Kane, how do you exactly navigate the emotional complexity of grieving a relationship that was once central to your life? I mean, it's too complex. How do you navigate the emotional complexity of a relationship you don't have anymore?
You have to grieve. There's no other way around it. You got to grieve.
Yeah.
You can force your way through it, or you can allow yourself to really sit in it and
Hmm.
process, forgive,
Hmm.
find out find out what the lessons are for you, and bring peace to it. And it's very much that, and also, looking at the things that you didn't like, because there will be things that you didn't like, and then you go, okay, so I know I don't want this type of thing in a relationship. So what is there something in me that is reflecting that? Because we all have to take responsibility. No
Yeah.
one's to blame in a relationship.
Yeah.
You can't blame the other person. It's not about that. You have to take brutal responsibility,
Thoughts.
each individual, to
Yeah.
be able to have deep soul searching discussions.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're going to trigger us. Sure.
Of
Yep.
course. Of
Own
course.
it. Understand that you can stop the trigger and walk away for a moment, calm down, and come back and then discuss why it triggered you
Yeah.
and what's
So,
coming up for you in that trigger.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So you help others break patterns and activate their potential. So what tools or approaches do you use in your work that you have seen? Yeah, this is something that works, you know? So,
Yep. So this has worked 100% of the time.
okay.
It's called it's called the story extraction method,
Mm-hmm.
and it's basically going through the shadows of your whole life. And what you recognize is you see the shadows, you see
Mm-hmm.
the recurring inner dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're diving deep into it, because it's all about safety, right? It's all about safety. People won't go there unless they feel safe, right? Unless they're willing to go there. So you have to hold a very big space for people to be able to go into those areas, even if they don't have any memories. There is aspects to be able to trigger certain memories. to come out. So where people get their revelations, what I call soul breakthroughs, is when they see the patterns.
Hmm.
So when they see the patterns of the subconscious dialogue, and then they see how consciously events were taking place,
Hmm.
and the same dialogue and the same feelings keep coming up. So there's an attraction when you understand how the universe works, how God works, spirit works. It's all about whatever's happening in the subconscious. So
Yeah.
identifying that dialogue, that vibration in the subconscious is paramount because a lot of mindset is can be about putting things on the top of stuff rather than finding out where the initial cause is, because there's an original cause. There's an original story that created an original claim, and which then created that feeling of people feeling empty. So when we look at the light, which is all people's achievements, they can see all these avenues of all this success and achievements and things that they've done in their lives. But because there's still this void in their subconscious about these feelings that they feel about themselves, they don't truly own or feel what they've consciously created.
Okay, so Kane, for anyone listening to this who's gone through trauma, abuse, loss, and they feel stuck, what's one thing you can say to them right now?
The pain hurts and it's real
It is. It
and
is.
it's part of our human experience. It's okay to cry. It's okay to feel
Absolutely.
sad.
Absolutely.
It's okay to be angry. It's part of the process.
Yeah.
Don't be ashamed of it. Don't be scared about it. Allow it to process, but be clear on the end game. It's not about sitting in the pain and thinking that that's part of you because it's not. It's just an experience. And I tell you what, it's better and more fun. It's so much more fun when you bring peace to
Yeah.
yourself
Yeah.
and just
Okay.
just start having some fun. But don't be scared of the process.
Mhm.
It is a process. Accept it. Love it. Just love that you have to go through this experience. Give it the blessings, give it the gratitude, give it the gratitude until you can start seeing the appreciation and feeling
Mhm.
the appreciation for it.
Mhm. Okay, so where can people connect with you, learn more about your work, reach out if they want to?
Yeah, they can go to kanenovak.com.
Hmm.
They can also find me on Facebook. They can that's Facebook.Kane S Novak.
Hmm.
On Instagram,
Okay.
it's Kane Novak. On TikTok, it's I am Kane Novak. I am Kane Novak. And
I'll share all these details in the description of this video.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And then there's YouTube, and that's official Kane Novak.
Okay, so this was
Google Kane Novak.
okay, okay, yeah. Thank you so much for sharing this.
And then reach out to me. My email is Kane at Kane Novak. If you get that wrong, come on.
Of course.
Send me an email.
Yeah. So, Kate, it has been lovely having you here. Thank you so much for taking out the time, for sharing your story, for opening your heart and letting us all in. It was lovely having you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's an absolute pleasure. Keep smiling, share the love. Always, always know that it's about the love. So have a great, great day, great evening, wherever you are in the world.
Thank you so much.